Hey everybody, welcome to the Between the Lines Hoopscast, including me, Pack, and my boy SB. SB, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, man. So again, my name is SB, man. Co-host of the Gentleman Club podcast, and doing something new and special with my boy Pack here with the Hoopscast.
Nice, nice. So, Justice, I know the people don't know, but you used to play basketball because I've known you for a very long time, ever since high school, and I used to watch your games. So, I mean, this podcast, well, I'll say Hoopcast. This Hoopcast is special to me because I'm actually getting some insight from a person who actually played ball. I never really played ball. It's like on an organized team, but I watch a lot of basketball. I play basketball in my spare time. I play the video games and all that. So I think I got a little bit of knowledge, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's just good coming from you because you've been playing in this stuff. You won a championship in high school, so you know everything about ball and all that. So that's why
Mhm.
I was so excited to start this hoops cast for you. Well, with you.
Yeah, right.
Um,
I mean, it don't take much, man. I mean, honestly, like being around the game, whether you play or not, like dissecting the game is different than actually playing. So, in all honesty, bro, you got a lot of solid points about basketball that make sense. It's gonna be kind of fun to like really see what we could do with this shit, man. It's gonna be nice.
sir, sir. So, to everybody out there, just go ahead and put this out there. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. You know, comment your favorite emoji for engagement. If you don't want to comment, at least comment there. We try to get this thing cooking out here.
Facts,
Um,
man. Facts.
so with this hoops cast, we talk about all things NBA. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with something that's fresh on our minds right now. That Lakers versus Suns yesterday. You caught that game yesterday?
Yeah, man. So I pretty much seen the same thing I seen the first time around. It's like the level of competition raises when they play against a team like that. I don't know if it's just like due to the fact that there's like this quote unquote rivalry with LeBron and KD, or if it's like a genuine moment in basketball where we just got to appreciate the talent that's on the floor. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Um, got Anthony Davis back from injury, which I thought he was gonna be out like at least 35 fucking games, but
Yeah.
he came back and it's like he made an impact. I think when I did get into the game and start watching it like deeply, I think he had like 16 and 11 at some point, and it was like this is Anthony Davis. He ain't gonna always give you 30 points, but all around, I think that game came down to the role players. The role players played a significant part in that game. Cam Reddish, I think he had what 15, 17 points into the game. Austin Reeves had like 13 to 15. Um, I think Braun went off for what 30, 37, 35 or something like that,
Yeah,
or
I think about
32.
32 points. Yeah,
Yeah,
something like
somewhere in the
that.
30s. Hey, nigga, that in itself is like ridiculous, bro. I think him and KD were going back and forth with buckets, but like 21, LeBron going on what 39 years old. Like,
That boy,
he ain't supposed to be. He ain't supposed to be doing that, dog.
right? He ain't right. You look at all the old niggas that used to be in the NBA, bro. Them niggas was not like averaging what he averaging right now.
Hey,
That boy
did you
special.
see the stat? The stat on I think it was X or Twitter. They said Vince Carter averaged like 7.4 points a game for his year 21 season, and LeBron averaged like 9 points in the fourth quarter by itself. His
Exactly.
whole like, bro, that's fucking nuts, bro.
Like I feel like people I see if you want to hate on him as a person, I don't care about all that. But you got to respect the man game. You got to.
Facts.
That,
I don't know. I think people expect him to be like this Kobe-esque kind of player, or Michael Jordan type player, bro. And it's like it's not his game, bro. He's a pass first player who will take over the game when necessary. Because I mean, he has the most clutch buckets in history right now, and still
yep.
rolling. And on top of the fact that he has the most points ever, most playoff points ever, I I don't understand what people say like he doesn't have a killer instinct. The nigga got a killer instinct. He just chooses to initiate that motherfucker when it's necessary. But
Yeah, man.
I
Like
don't know.
he proved it so many times. Like everything people say LeBron can't do, he don't prove that. Like there's video evidence of it. So I don't understand.
Like even the talks about LeBron not being a high level defender, bro. I think personally speaking, I think he's always been a very good defender, and even coming into year 21, like I think he's still a substantially good defender compared to the rest of the league. Because you got guys who don't even sit down in the chair no more, and you still got this guy who's willing to sit down in the chair with Kevin Durant, with Giannis Antetokounmpo, and all these bigger guys at 6'8", 6'9", 240. You know what I mean? You don't get that
Yeah.
shit. Like he's the most athletic and uniquely gifted player that I've ever seen, bro. And given I didn't get a chance to really watch Michael Jordan, I was born when he was, at his last days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like with Lamar, I think he pick and choose when to play defense because I mean the dude about to turn 39. I don't think he finna give 100% on both ends of the floor from start to finish. I think he gonna go out in spurts. If it's a clutch play and he needs to play defense in the fourth quarter, I think he'll do it. But at the beginning of the game, I don't think he finna guard the best player 94 feet the whole time. Or he gonna play that rotational defense. He just gonna be switching.
He gonna take them breaks, man. But I mean, overall, that game was it reminded me not necessarily like the old grit and grind like 2003, 2007 basketball era, but it gave me a feel like that scoring impact and defensive impact. Like it seemed like everybody wanted to win that game. So I mean, overall, I think that game was a decent B plus to me. A decent B plus.
Decent B plus. No, I'm gonna go ahead and get that thing at A, boy. I was watching it just in the final minutes. I didn't know which way it was gonna go because the score was so close, and that nigga KD was giving them buckets, bro. Every time he shot, I was like, damn, that shit going in every time.
So what do you think is happening with KD? Like, just kind of giving you like a double question, right? So last year we seen Kevin Durant where, of course he had his injuries throughout the year, but he still was very productive and efficient in his own way, of course. And now it seems like he's even elevated his game at he's 35, 36 now, and it seems like he's becoming like, I guess, more efficient and more willing to will the game himself. How do you feel about Kevin Durant's game this year?
I feel like he's just doing what he always do, man. He's gonna get to his spots in the mid range, in the 3-pointer. He's gonna post up and take these post fadeaways. He's gonna go around these screens to get himself open. But then again, it's like when he shoots, like I was watching yesterday, this man don't care who in front of him. He gonna pull up and he gonna catch that bitch most of the time. Now, he may have had some inefficient nights, but right now he's the Suns' leading scorer. But that's because, I mean, the Suns, Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, they've been out. So far, the first 10 games of the season, the Suns been kind of disappointing me right now. But that's only because of injuries right now.
Yeah. I mean, Bill played last night. He had some solid minutes. I think they still got him restricted to like 20 minutes, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 18 to 20 minutes. But even within that time frame, I think they started him at point guard, and he did pretty well.
Yeah, he had 24 points, shot 9 for 17. That's 52% from the field. So he did good for his first game, I'll say. But that boy Cam Reddish, and look, I was in the group talking hella cash shit about Cam Reddish. I was like, man, this nigga can't score. He can't shoot.
But see, Cam Reddish is one of them unique players, bro. Like you gotta give him a chance. If you don't give him a chance, you're not gonna really see his potential. So like that's why I tell people you gotta give certain players grace. And like I think what I was telling y'all before, like, Cam played on all these different teams, but when have we actually seen Cam Reddish like get 24 minutes a game and be able to like have freedom to play the way he wants to play? And honestly, this is probably gonna be the first year where you actually get to see Cam Reddish outside of a Duke uniform actually initiate the game. And niggas would tell you like RJ Barrett and Zion and all the motherfuckers, even niggas in the league, they was like, if you thought you had a real competitor in the league, who would you call out? And niggas was like Cam Reddish, but he just don't get the opportunity.
Yeah,
and it's true.
Yeah. Look, I was like, cause at first I kept seeing LeBron pass the ball to Cam Reddish, and he missed it the first 2 times. And LeBron just kept going back to him. I'm like, damn, this nigga really trusts his teammates. And then when he cashed it at the end, the one that mattered, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I see what's going on.
He was giving the confidence.
Yeah, and that really builds a player morale and like wants him to go to war for the team. You know, you got niggas like LeBron believing in him when all these other teams didn't believe in him. You got the best player in the NBA, arguably the best player of all time, believing in you when all these other teams didn't give you a chance. And you know, all eyes gonna be on you now since you play for the Lakers and you play with LeBron. So it's like, I think that's a huge morale boost, and I think he's gonna have a good year this year.
Hey, you know what? I feel like calling you out because we was in the group chat and you was sitting right here talking about
I
motherfuckers,
do it.
motherfuckers going to play with LeBron and they just like their game just disappears. I'm like, bro, no, that's not true.
I feel
This is
like
this is a prime example, bro. This is a prime example of what LeBron's capable of. He brings players over to him and he's like, look, I trust you. I'm willing to give you an opportunity, bro. And like every time he gives somebody an opportunity, either they take that shit and run with it, or they take that shit and they fold. Cam Reddish is like. He doing what he need to do, bro.
Well, I say on the high, like on the positive side of playing with LeBron, those are one of the things that he'll elevate their game. But on the negative side, like you've seen with many other role players that ever played with LeBron that was doing good on other teams, and they play with LeBron and start shitting the bed.
But that just comes with being starstruck though. Like you can't really blame LeBron for niggas like coming to the team and deciding to watch him instead of playing the fucking game with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So yeah,
I mean,
look. Are you go ahead?
Yeah, even with like the Kevin Love situation, I think I brought that up. Like when he left, like some of these older cats that he get from like the Timberwolves. When Kevin Love played for the Timberwolves, we knew that nigga was like a 20 and 12, 20 and 15 guy every night. He came to LeBron's side and it was like he dropped down to like 15 and 10. And it was like, nigga, you still getting that production. It wasn't because he got LeBron on this team. It was because the nigga on the decline, but he can use that nigga based off of, I think Kevin Love was coming off injury when he came to Cavs. And you know what I'm saying? When he started playing, it was like he knows he's gonna be limited, but let me get the best use out of him. Where can I put him? How can I set him up? How can I make sure that he get his touches and make sure that he get the boards? You can't always look at it like, you know what I'm saying, niggas come to LeBron and just fold. Like some of them niggas really get starstruck. And you gotta remember what comes with LeBron. It ain't just about playing with LeBron. It's like you playing with LeBron and you gotta deal with the media blaming everybody else except LeBron when shit goes downhill.
Yeah, that I was just about to say that's the thing I was getting at. I was like, as good as LeBron boosts players' morale when he trusts them, I feel like their morale get low when the media blame everything on them when they don't play good. Because I mean, it's just like when LeBron score all the points, get rebounds and assists, but the team still loses. You looking at other people like, damn, why are you 2 for 12? Why are you 0 for 5? It's just like, I feel like that gets to him. And I feel like as much as players don't say this or they try to deflect, they be reading them Twitter comments. They be watching these interviews. So I feel like they be in the locker room like, damn, they done said this about me. Now, I'm trying to play with a chip on my shoulder instead of, focusing on the game plan at hand. And they out there laying goose eggs.
Facts. That's facts, man.
I mean, that's the only thing I was saying about LeBron. Look, you can call me out. Look, I said it. Them boys be tripping. He be stunting their growth on the low end, but on the high end, he'll make them better, make them have some high trade value or get them a contract. He'll do that. But it's like sometimes I'm like, damn, especially like that Tristan Thompson contract in Cleveland. They could have got some players with that, bro. I don't think he was that good now. He was a good double 10 and 10
what was it,
guy.
$100 million for 4 years or some shit like that?
Yeah, they could have used that money for something else.
But yeah, that was a fuck up. So look, let me ask you a question before we go to the next topic, right? So I know you heard Shaq. He brought up a comparison saying that niggas keep saying we ain't never seen a Wembanyama, but we got Bobo. I'm 100%. I 100% agree with what Shaq said. But how do you feel about that comment?
So with that comment, I feel like Bobo. Shaq said that, but it's like Bobo don't have that. I guess that legendary height like Wemby and LeBron had, their rookie years. So it's like Bobo be in the shadows. Like they'll see him and they'll see him play 1 or 2 games and be like, okay, he ain't really doing nothing. But, sometimes he go off, but sometimes he don't. And I think people look at the games that he don't instead of looking at the games he do. But I just feel like Bobo, I mean, looking at his minutes, I think he averaged somewhere around 20 minutes or so in the past few years. And it's like, I don't know. His numbers not being the impact. I guess it's not impacting the winning like Wemby's play impact the winning. So that's the only reason I'll say the Bowl and he said some or somebody else is like maybe Kristaps Porzingis. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
So
think. All right, what you about to say?
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say like those players who like tall and lanky and he can dribble and do everything. I guess they tried to put that face of the league or the future face of the league on Chris Stapps and Bobo. I think people just got impatient.
So would you say that it was almost like an unfair battle, right? Because like the way I view it is when Bobo came in, people weren't really prepared for what Bobo was. But I think because of who Wembanyama was and the hype he had around him and all this other stuff, like he was already projected and he was already talked about back in what is it, France or wherever he's from by Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili. He was actually talked about from the time he was 16 coming on up. So it's not like he wasn't in the media the whole time. The difference between Wemby and Bobo is that when Bobo was coming in, the league just legitimately wasn't ready for him. And I think I can make the argument, a fair argument, at least, that Bobo in so many ways was limited because they didn't know how to like really use him. And when you put a limit on a player like Bobo, who has the talent or skill like a Wembanyama or Kristaps Porzingis, it limits them. And when you start when you start limiting players, they have a thing in basketball, which is called basketball psyche. And like if your basketball psyche is not matching up with your skill level, sometimes you can feel intimidated by the game and you can start lessening your game. Just like Draymond said, when he came in the league, at some point in time, he stopped shooting the basketball and then eventually he lost his confidence. It's the same. It's the same analogy with him. Like when you come into the league and you got the skills to dribble the ball down court at 7'2", 7'3", and you can shoot a three, you can do fadeaways, you can do everything what Miana's doing, but your coaches and your teammates are not really there, like supporting you in letting your game flow the way you want it to flow. Like you start losing that level of confidence in your game, and then you start altering it. Now you don't look like the same player. Do you think that's a fair thing to say? Like maybe he's been restricted so much now he can't even showcase what his true abilities are.
Yeah, I think it comes down to the personnel too, because it's like Wemby got drafted in an amazing situation with the Spurs and all their history
Yeah,
and Coach Pop
unmatched.
and all that. It's like Pop done coached two legendary centers already. I mean, if you want to call Tim Duncan a center, he played center, but he don't
Bigs.
coach he done coach two legendary bigs already, and I think Wemby can be the third legendary vid that Pop has mentored and coached. So it's like he's already in that championship, that history, that
Yeah,
culture, that Spurs culture. That the Spurs be taking care of their players, and it's like they're all about business and work. It's like the
yeah,
teams that Bo play for, he ain't really played for no I guess known coach like that or known organization that contributes to winning. So it's like,
yeah,
you know, maybe that's not a story that the media can drive, because right now all I see that the media is saying, oh yeah, Pop and Tim Duncan and David Robinson, 5 championships, and the Spurs system and all that. The only story I see from Bo is, his dad played in the NBA. That's the only thing that the media can run with. So I think
right.
what I'm getting at, I think Bo is just not marketable like Wemby is marketable.
Yeah, I
That's
mean, it just yeah, I think that just came down to people not being willing to give him that chance. Because if he got that chance, bro, I think equally they would have been the same player and had the same value. And truth be told, if Bobo hadn't went to the Magic, I think maybe a team like who was more open minded to that type of player, like maybe a San Antonio or maybe a
maybe the
New
Miami
York,
Heat.
maybe the Miami Heat, like someone who would actually let him unlock his true abilities. Like, cause let's be real, like if he would have went to Miami, Jimmy Butler would have said, "Do what the fuck you need to do, bro."
Yeah.
Like he let Bam do whatever the fuck he wanted. Bam choose to be in the post a lot of times, but now you see a motherfucker stepping out the 3 point line, dropping the motherfuckers out. So I
Mm-hmm.
think if he would have went to the right program, I think maybe his game would have been there. I think he would have had a better chance at blossoming into the player that he could actually be right now. Because Truth be told, I seen one game with Bowl when he came down court and I think they drug tested him like the day after. Bro came down court, dribble, spin, crossover, hit a three, came back down court, played defense, got a block, ran all the way down court in like 5 damn steps, and got a fucking putback dunk. Went back down court, blocked the ball again, or stole it or something, threw it back down court, went back down court, caught a lob, and like they drug tested Braz. Cause they was like, nah, nigga, this ain't no regular shit, bro. You just did some crack addict shit. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's like they see the potential. I think that he need a fair shot. So
but hey, that nigga Wemby, that nigga is nice, bro. The other
hey, Wemby
game
is nice.
he played against the Suns, won that game from him, had 38 as a
Yeah.
rookie.
I think
Jesus.
that was wasn't that the second game they played the Suns? I think that was the back to back. Because the first game he had
Mm-hmm.
like 18, the second game he had 38. Yeah. So I think the thing with Wemby's like he just getting the feel for the game right now. But truth be told, I think his biggest competition right now is gonna be Chet Holmgren. And I
Yeah.
personally I like Chet a little bit better. And it's not to say that Wemby's not as good or better than him, but Chet has more defensive prowess. And I'm you know me, I'm big on defense. I like that old school shit, bro.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Chet, I mean that's a nice transition to the rookie of the year race, because Chet he's playing good as a rookie himself. He's averaging
Yeah.
17 points per game right now, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks per game. Wemby he's averaging 19 and a half points, 8.5 rebounds, and 3 blocks per game. So it's like they neck and neck.
Yeah.
Their stats literally differ by probably one or 2 points right now, and
Yeah. Literally.
Chet he's on the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I think the Thunder they're gonna be a team to watch out for in the future. I'm
Hey,
telling you.
I keep telling people the same shit. I'm like, bro, it's like the sleeper teams in the West right now that people keep ignoring. Like we talk about the Kings, we talk about the Warriors and the Lakers and the Spurs. I mean, not the Spurs, but the Clippers and all these other teams, Memphis. But we don't talk about OKC. We don't talk about New Orleans Pelicans, bro. And they got some monsters. But Chet is the serious guy, bro. And I realistically, this is his second year, but because he didn't play first year, he get rookie. But I think this gonna probably be the toughest rookie of the year race this year that we've probably seen in like the last 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, it seemed like Chet and Wemby they literally playing the same style of basketball. That
Yeah,
do it all type of player. Kevin Durant style player. Pulling up from mid range, pulling up for three, dribbling, taking it down the court, blocking shots, getting these, ferocious standing dunks near the rim. My only knock
yeah,
on them is that they just need to put some weight on them bones, man. But I think that
yeah.
all that's gonna come through the years, though.
I think the one thing that's gonna set them apart for me personally is the efficiency rating, because I think right now Wemby is shooting like 40 from the floor, 30 from three. I don't know what his free throw percentage is, but I'm looking at the stats here now. It's showing that Pitt shooting 55.7 from the floor, 53.8 from the three, and he shoot 90% from free throw. Like you don't get a lot of 50, 40, 90 guys, but he's a 50, 50, 90 right now, and that's
Mm.
it's really crazy for him to be taking that jump as a rookie, bro. It just doesn't happen normally. We're talking about the likes of Kevin Durant and Steph Curry and guys like that, bro. You don't see big men, especially doing shit like that, being in a 50, 40, 90 club.
But what I've been seeing around about Chet Holmgren though, is he really a rookie? Even though he got drafted last year, he was just injured. But is he really a rookie if he's been around the NBA team? He's been training with NBA trainers, while these other rookies they haven't been training with NBA trainers yet. Like they're literally fresh out. But Chet,
So
he's been around the NBA for a whole year.
I gotta say, in fairness, yes, he's still a rookie because he didn't. Just because you practice with your team doesn't make you NBA ready. Excuse me. So let's start there. And like, I think the good comparison would be Ben Simmons because Ben Simmons had the issue where he was out for a whole year, trust the process and all that bullshit. Came back and he became rookie of the year, and it's like the same scenario. I mean, like he got the training, true enough, but you compare it to Wemby, it's a fair trade. Wemby has been playing in a program where he's basically been playing against elite level players his entire life from the age of 16 on up. And I think specifically last year he played in the Euro League or French League, and he's still playing against guys who are almost NBA ready. So I think the likeness of the two comparisons is kind of like I think it's an even trade off.
Yeah, and then I'll say looking at this rookie of the year rate, they got Asar Thompson third. On the Detroit Pistons, one of the Thompson
Yeah,
twins. He's averaging 12 points, 9 rebounds, and almost 4 assists. That's some pretty good efficiency too. He's the leading rebounder in the class right now over Chet and Wemby. They like
yeah.
7-4, 7-3.
Yeah,
And
I
he's
think that's
only
another shot
six
that I got
seven.
on Wemby. Like he's a terrible rebounder. So I'm eager, like utterly surprised that he's even at 8.4 rebounds a game right now. To be honest with you, but yeah,
Yeah.
it just
Look, I'll say even because he playing for the Pistons right now that don't really get a lot of coverage, but they can't forget about the Thompson twins because look, that was nice before before all the NBA stuff. They had a lot of hype on them too.
right.
And
I don't
then
know, man, but I do like so Derek Lively, the number 5 in the race right now. So I think he's gonna make a crazy jump sometime midway through the season because of who he plays with it. And Luka and Kyrie. And it's not to take anything away from the Thompson twin or anything like that, but I think this year is probably gonna be the biggest race ever between 3 big men. And I think with Lively, I think he's in the right program, he's in the right situation. And honestly speaking, the way the big men look this year between the 2 7-footers and him, it's going to be it's going to be a show for the top 3 spots, and I don't think any guards or forwards are going to really make it into that list at the end of the year. And that's just a personal thought. You know what I mean? I just don't see too much coming out of these guards this year. I think the NBA is oversaturated with guards and forwards right now, and we don't really have good big men all the way around. We got maybe a handful between Giannis, Jokic, and Embiid,
mm-hmm.
but outside of them, I mean, Demontis Sabonis and you got Miles Turner, you got um, Jonas Valanciunas, but I mean, other than them, like the true big guys that we have in the league, who do you really have that would really give them the competition like these 3 would in the future?
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think right now, yeah, that's gonna be the deal right there.
yeah. Those true 7-footers. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I was gonna say Bam Adebayo, but he's not like a true big man. He's one of
Yeah,
the new
yeah, I
school
think
big man.
yeah, I think personally, I think he's more of a forward anyway. Like I think he's a true power forward that just happens to be playing center. And honestly, he's only like 6'8". He's not even a real big man.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
and so yeah, I mean, I'm fucking with Derek Lively. He's 7'1". That's almost one of the biggest centers that the
mhm.
Mavericks have. I mean, yeah, Dirk was like 7 foot.
Yeah,
So
he was
yeah,
7 foot even.
I mean they had Kristaps Porzingis for a short spell, but I mean he wasn't really playing center like that. So
Right.
so I feel like the Mavericks doing good, and it pains me to say that because me and DA had this rivalry going on with the Mavericks and the
Yeah,
Bulls, but I can't say
I
shit.
can't say I can't
My
say
boys
shit nice
sitting in the
about them
toilet.
niggas. I can't say
Yeah,
shit nice about the Mavericks because I just can't let DA have it.
I
I gotta be
know.
a hater, man.
I know. Look, I can't say shit. If y'all don't know, fans around the world, I'm a Bulls fan, struggling right now. Depressed
Shit, you've been
Bulls
sick for the
fan.
last 3 years. The last three
Man,
years been terrible, bro.
I mean, that one year when we was at the top of the East before the All Star break, before
Before
Lonzo
Zoe got
Ball,
hurt,
Zoe and Alex Caruso, he was doing
yeah,
good. And then I just
bro.
think,
Them
hey,
them 2 niggas was y'all pieces, bro. If they hadn't I think if Lonzo was to come back tomorrow, I think we changed the whole narrative about the Bulls again, bro. But I think him being the point guard that he is, like on both sides, the playmaker and the defender that he is, bro. I think y'all got the biggest steal. The problem is he's just injury prone and injury riddled. And it's gonna be hard to tell what his future's gonna look like, especially after that $80 million contract. I don't think another team's gonna offer him that, and I don't think the Bulls are gonna offer him another contract that big.
yeah. And then I mean, piggybacking back to the rookie race, my dog Scoot Henderson, man, he's struggling. What you think's going on with him right now, or why he's playing so bad? I mean, not really bad. He's still a rookie, but the
Yeah,
hype that
he's
he
not adapting.
had, he ain't really living it up right now. The first 10 games of the season. What you think's going
He
on with him?
he didn't have that veteran to give him the real game. He didn't have that person to stand by his hip and this is how you run this game. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. Had he had Dame there for a little while to really play with him side by side, I think he would have had a little jump on the league because Dame would have been that perfect person. Because I think when he came in the league, a lot of guys were kind of comparing his game to Dame's, and they were saying like this will probably be the better of the two. You got two like players that would fit into the program really well, and if you got two monsters on your team that play exactly the same, it makes it almost impossible to stop them. But he didn't really have that on his hip like other players did. Like John Morant had a couple vets. You had guys like Cade Cunningham who had vets on his side. They may not have been the best vets, but they had vets nonetheless who was able to give them like the NBA game and give them structure on how to like really stay competitive and get better. So I think
Mhm.
right now I'm not gonna necessarily say like he's completely out of the race, but I think Scoot has a chance to get better. I think he just needs a little bit more time to really adjust himself and adapt to the NBA game because it's different in college, man,
Yeah,
and the G League for that matter.
definitely. And, speaking of Dame, you guys already know he got traded to the to I think the best situation to me, other than the Miami, better than the Miami Heat, to the Milwaukee Bucks. It seems like he's having a pretty solid season right now. He's averaging 24 points per game. Shooting, not really shooting it great. He's shooting about 30% from three right now. That's definitely less than his career average. And he's playing with arguably one of the best players of the NBA today, Giannis. How you think the Bucks is going to do this season? Because right now they're sitting at
Well, number five
five
and
and
number
three
six.
right now. Yeah, they're sitting in the 5 spot right now, 5-3. Do you think that they should have had a better record? They should have been up there where the 76ers at?
No. And this is just giving a true answer, right? So I think the difference between the Bucks and what the 76ers are is their program was more lethal before they got rid of all those pieces, like those Grayson Allens and uh, who else they give up? They gave up a couple pieces, but those defensive pieces and those shooting pieces that took so much weight off of Giannis's back are pretty much what they needed to get some more of that weight off of both Giannis and Damian Lillard. So the key to winning is basically to relieve as much pressure off yourself and off your superstars as possible. So because they don't have two people, I mean they got the Giannis, they got the Dame, but those other pieces around them. I mean Chris Middleton, he can be lethal, but we all know Chris Middleton, he's one of those players who he'll pop up one day and then he'll disappear for a couple of games, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe he'll give you 22 here, maybe he'll give you 12. You know what I mean? And a lot of times it doesn't work for a player like Dame or for a player like Giannis even. So I think the biggest issue right now is they don't have other pieces around them to really take that focus off of Damian Lillard and Giannis, and it makes it so easy for teams to defend them right now until they figure out some different strategy. So like with Giannis, they can build a wall, but let's be real. Like there's no fucking team in the league that can really stop Giannis. That means you can probably contain him for a couple of quarters or for a couple of minutes or a couple of possessions, like Miami Heat or the Boston Celtics. But there's no real way to stop Giannis from getting to the bucket and getting you at least 22 and 12. You know what I mean? Whether that be boards or assists, but he's gonna give you 22 and 12 somewhere. But for a player like Dame, he's a high volume shooter. He's a very rangy and streaky shooter, just like Steph Curry is. He's one of the most lethal guards we got in the league. But when that shot isn't flowing and he can't get to the rim because the rim is cluttered with three other players in the paint that can't really shoot as well as he can, it makes it really hard for him to really get those shots up. So I think right now that's probably the worst of like what we'll see from him this year. I think he will get better. And I personally think they're probably going to be one of the top three teams in the East. I don't really see them being any less than four at the bare minimum four. I can't really see them going any lower than that later on in the season.
Yeah, so I mean, with the top 3 teams in the East right now, we got the 76ers at 7-1, the Celtics at 6-2, the Pacers at 6-3. Tyrese Halliburton
Don't
just
sleep
got
on them.
that. He got that 200+ million contract now. You putting the Pacers
You
top
balling.
3 right now, and
Yeah.
is looking at the 76ers with all the drama that happened this summer with James Harden and the team. They're sitting comfortably at the first spot with only one loss this season. What do you think that's contributing to that success right now? I know, earlier you said you ain't really taking the 76ers serious, but do you
Nah, not
think it's
really.
just you think it's just a fluke right now? Is this a right now type of thing, or do you think they really gonna be at the top by the end of the season?
So I again, I think this is just early in the season. think everybody's trying to figure something out, and I think the 76ers is just in a unique situation where they still have a lot of pieces that were already there together. I think moving Maxey over to the one spot was probably one of the best moves. I thought IQ level wise, he was more fitting for the point guard spot as opposed to James Harden. And I always thought that James Harden should have flowed back to the two positions to focus more on like just scoring. Even though James Harden is capable of being the playmaker, I think his game was more. I think it was more effective when he was a scorer first. Now, what I will say about the Sixers is they are a really good team. They're not a team to fucking just lay down and think you're just gonna blow over. But I do have some concerns about what they do in the postseason. In respects to who Joel Embiid is. And I was very critical of Joel Embiid last year, as far as him winning MVP and just pretty much laying down a goose egg in the playoffs and pretty much being non-existent or like a non-factor. So I think long term, I expect the same thing from the Sixers. It's been the same thing every year with respect to the last year that Ben Simmons was there and that we had that whole issue with him in the playoffs against the Hawks. But I mean, ultimately, I just don't see shit coming from them. I think Boston Celtics is still the team to beat in the East. I think the Bucks are still going to be the second team to beat in the East. I still think the Heat are going to be the most respected team in the fucking East because of what they do. They're just dogs. And they make it very clear every single year. And I will say the team that I have above the 76ers as well is the Knicks. I think the Knicks are a better team than what the 76ers are. I think the Pacers are a better team. And it's not to disrespect them, but realistically speaking, I think the Sixers are maybe like a top. They're number 8, number 7 seed in the end of the season. If they are number 1 or top 14, I'm sorry. I wish I could have gave y'all a better number, but I can't see them beating those teams, and I see a lot more competitiveness from these other Eastern Conference teams than I do from them right now.
I feel like the 76ers is definitely one of the deepest teams, and I think that getting that James Harden trade off is really going to allow Tyrese Maxey to have a career year this year alongside Joel Embiid. Yeah. My issue with the Sixers is, Joel Embiid, you play good during the season, but then when the playoffs come, you shit the bed. And you the MVP. Last year, when they lost last year, I'm like, dude, you're the MVP. Did they get knocked out in the first round last year, or was it the second round?
They did. It was the first round. I can go back and check, but I want to say it was the first first round.
Like, that's insane, and I feel like, he's dodging the smoke. Where's the slander? You the MVP of the league. Everybody was comparing you and Jokic. And guess who won the NBA championship last year? The one who probably should have gotten the MVP award because Jokic was tearing them boys apart.
Hey, I'm gonna be real with everybody, bro. I never thought Joel Embiid should have got that fucking award. I'm looking on here now. The 76ers, they got kicked out second round to the Celtics.
Oh, second round,
still, bro. Yeah, second round, but even still, bro, like he just went out and played like a complete dickhead, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just being real, dog. Like, Joel Embiid is supposed to be this elite level center, and it's like he has the challenges against forwards. Like, I think at one point in time, Jason Tatum was the one fucking facing up with him. And then they had the two Williams guys, like, interchangeably defending him and shit. But as a reigning MVP, bro, I don't give a fuck how good your regular season was. Everybody know the playoffs in the NBA intensifies by like 30. There's no reason for you to still be playing like this was regular season, and that's why he got his ass kicked the whole time. You know what I mean? Like, I respect Joel Embiid enough to not just lay down on my back and just be like, yeah, I'm gonna let you do whatever you want to do. But at the same time, I don't have enough in me to really be like, nigga, let's go put our best defender on him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just not worth it.
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna give you that, 30 points. He'll probably give you 13 or 14 rebounds, probably a couple blocks. Was like, I need to see that on the biggest stage from him. I need to, the last time the 76ers was in the Eastern Conference Finals was when that, that Kawhi shot went down when they was playing against the Raptors. And that was probably arguably their best team that they ever had.
Yeah, that was. And boy, I'm gonna be very honest when I say this shit. That MVP was not his. It was supposed to go to Jokic, and I think they gave it to him out of pity because he went on national TV crying last year. I don't know what else I gotta do. What more I gotta do?
Yeah.
Doing that sassy ass shit, man. He should have gave Jokic that shit again, man. He would have been a 3-time MVP. And he went and won the fucking Finals MVP that same year. So fuck him.
Yeah, speaking of Jokic, his team is sitting 8-1 right now, comfortably in the Western Conference, followed by the Mavericks at 7-2, and the Timberwolves 6-2. They having a hard start right now. That boy Anthony Edwards is balling.
Hey, I'm glad you said the Timberwolves. Hey, they might be a problem this year. Because they might be a problem because Anthony Edwards is playing. I think after Team USA, bro, he set a milestone for himself, and I think he came out public and said it. He was like, "This is gonna be my year where I show people like what I'm really capable of," and I think he's proven himself, bro. The Timberwolves are still not like an elite team to me. I don't like the type of player Karl Anthony Towns is. He's very lazy. Rudy Gobert I guess he's a focal piece for them, but it's not really much for them. Nobody's intimidated by Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns line up in the back in the front court. But I think Anthony Edwards is by far like the guy showing the whole league and putting the league on notice. Like, nigga, we here.
Yeah, I mean, I saw on the Pat Bev podcast probably some time ago that he was saying that in order for Anthony Edwards to get to the next level, he need to go to a high market team. Do you agree with that?
No. And the reason I don't agree with it is because of what Giannis did. Giannis took the Bucks to the finals and won the very first finals they won ever. So yeah. I don't believe in that. I don't think you need a high market team. I think you just have to have some niggas on your team that's willing to put in that work and get their shit done. If you ain't got people around you that's willing to put in that work, then you won't go anywhere. But it all starts with the person that y'all put the most focus on. So if Anthony Edwards is y'all player, he's y'all franchise piece, and he's y'all franchise player, it starts with him. So if he can't make a domino effect with his players on his team, then that's his fault.
But my thing is with the Timberwolves, if they want to, because at first they're supposed to build the franchise around Cat, and slowly as you see, Cat it seems like he's regressing, and Anthony Edwards is progressing. So it's like they giving the keys to Anthony Edwards now, but it's like being that Minnesota is in the small market. Who is there a star player is willing to play there, like to sign there? I mean, who wants to go play in Minnesota?
No, I don't think there is a player that wants to play in Minnesota. I mean, given the climate. But I will say that if they were to get, I think the one thing that changes that team is the point guard, like a legitimate point guard who can play both sides of the ball. If they can find that piece, it doesn't have to be a superstar or an all-star. It just has to be a legitimate piece who knows the role of playing defense and playmaking, and able to like really do what they need to do on the court. Not a Pat Beverly, not like maybe I'm trying to see like who's really maybe a Mike Conley. Maybe
if they were kind of old though.
Yeah, but he's the veteran piece though. He's the piece that keep everybody like settled in. Like when they start getting on that high horse, because you got to remember this is a team full of young dudes. You know what I'm saying? You gonna get you an older cat who can really sit on that floor and put themselves in that place to like, hey yo, this is what we got going on. This is what we need to set forward. This is how we need to do it. I don't know about Ricky Rubio. Does Ricky Rubio still play for them?
I'm looking at the roster now, and I don't see him on there.
So who they got? They got Mike Conley. So Mike Conley, that's probably another reason why they winning. So I didn't even know he was on that team. That's crazy. That's nuts. That might be a power move. In all honesty, bro, that's a power move. They got Wendell Moore. That's a solid pickup. I think maybe just adding one more solid point guard like Milton. I like him, but Milton ain't really been that guy. He's not a bad backup player, but I think giving some more youth, someone with a little bit more energy on the backcourt with the point guards, man, I think it'll help them tremendously. Somebody that has IQ. I think D'Lo going back there would probably be a better fit, but they would have to give up. They would have to give up so much for D'Lo.
I don't know who they gonna give up.
I don't know either because it's gonna put them behind. If they send D'Lo back over there, I don't really know what the Lakers get back out of that. Because D'Lo,
one of them centers got to go.
Then nobody wants Rudy Gobert, and they're not gonna take a risk with Karl Anthony Towns.
Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Davis playing together. Woo!
Yeah. I don't like it, bro. I don't like it. I mean, you can put Cat at the 5, but I mean, Karl Anthony Towns is lazy, bro.
He
He's
is
just
like
lazy.
that.
Nobody wants that lazy bullshit, bro. That's the whole reason why he lost the keys to the fucking organization. He's just fucking lazy. Like I was watching Minnesota for a point in time. It's like, bro, I don't want to see your big 7-foot ass run down court, dribbling the ball all ugly and shit to go get a stupid ass layup put up. You know what I mean? It's just stupid, bro. Like you got
Oh man.
Anthony Edwards, Ant-Man there for a reason, bro. Like I don't want to see that bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, but speaking of a young team, the Rockets are sitting at 5-3 right now. The Rockets been bad for a while, ever since James Harden left. But they number 5 right now. You know, but they got.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to take them serious yet, but I mean,
I mean,
they did sign. You know, they signed Fred
Van Fleet.
VanVleet and Dylan Brooks, and then did they get? I thought I saw someone they got Eric Gordon. No, they didn't get
You know
him.
what you know what makes them dangerous? The fact they went and got 2 vets. Like Dylan Brooks is people. We all talk about him like we just fucking hate him. Like I don't like his character. I don't like this fake identity that he got. Like this fake
Tough
rah
guy.
rah nigga. Yeah, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like, and, oh, honestly, I think I beat that man ass for real. But and that's just me talking. I'm just being real about it. But like at the end of the day, like you kind of need that on your team. You need a rough ride on your team. But I think having that mental edge on your team with these young cats gives them the mental edge too. And then you got somebody like Fred VanVleet, who's like he's a silent leader. He's a nigga that's I'm gonna give you 16 and 12. I'm gonna give you like 10 and 16. I'm gonna give you 33 and 6. Or I'm gonna give you like a good 16, 11, and 11. Like it just depends on the night, but he's always gonna be efficient. He's always gonna be an X factor in your game. So I think putting him with the Jalen's and the Jabari Smiths and all these other cats on there, bro. I think that team is like, I'm not gonna say necessarily the dangerous team, but I think they're headed in the right direction. I can see them being a play-in team. I can see them being like a number 8 seed, trying to play off the play-in teams. Um, Now would I get out the first round? I don't know. And all honesty, I just don't know. Because then you're talking about facing the likes of OKC, Sacramento, maybe LA, maybe New Orleans, maybe the Suns, maybe the Clippers, for all we fucking know. But I think overall the talent in the West is just too fucking deep to really say like, you know, the Rockets are in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And look, I'll say right now, looking at these standings, I'm very disappointed in the motherfucking Los Angeles Clippers. They are now 0-3 ever since they signed James Harden. And you know, everybody was saying, "Oh my God, easy championship right there." It's like they've been doing that to the Clippers for the past few years. They said, "Oh yeah, we not injured, we winning it all." When they first got PG and Kawhi Leonard, "Oh yeah, we winning it all." But now they got four fucking
Hall of Famers.
superstars on the team right now, and I think being that they know all four of them have been given the keys to a franchise before on their own team, and you putting them all together, I just feel like the egos are going to clash. That's the only thing I saw when I saw them coming together. I think a lot of people are trying to. Well, I mean, the super team era is basically over right now, but it's starting to come back a little bit because of the Clippers. I think they're trying to mimic that super team era back then, but they got to realize like the Miami Heat
This ain't the
big
Celtics.
three, you know,
This ain't the Celtics.
you know, the Celtics, them boys had to put their egos aside to play together and play in harmony.
But they fit better. Like you had like the only example I can really say is like fitting to the Clippers is like the closest thing to them is maybe the Celtics. But they don't have a Rondo who's pass first minded and doesn't care about scoring at all. He can give you 2 points, 14 rebounds, and fucking 22 assists. You don't have that. You don't have a Ray Allen who can sit in the corner or run free will around the court and just take threes all game and play defense. You don't have a Paul Pierce who's a walking bucket at any given time and willing to sit down in the chair with you. He may not be the most athletic, but he's there. And you don't have a Kevin Garnett. I mean, you got defensive prowess in Kawhi Leonard, but he's still not a Kevin. He's not a KG. Like,
Yeah,
just be honest about it. I think what's gonna have to happen is somebody's gonna have to take a back seat and come off the bench. And
Exactly.
I don't think it's Russell Westbrook.
Mm.
I don't think it's Russell Westbrook.
Nah. I don't think. I think to me, I'm gonna go ahead and say I think two of us should go off the bench.
Nah, I'm not gonna say two. I think what worked before with before Harden got there will work with Harding there. I think what has to happen though is I think, and this is me being honest, bro. Like I looked on YouTube and like you know how they be having like them little polls and shit on YouTube now. So like they
Mm.
had like should somebody come off the bench one day and I was like yeah somebody should come off the bench. And then yesterday I went back on there again and had a poll with all four names like who should come off the bench. And I clicked on James Harden, and it was like 72% people said James Harden too.
I was gonna say James Harden. He
Like
can
you know what I'm
lead. He
saying?
can lead the second unit.
Hey, and the craziest thing is, bro, it's not a shot to James Harden, but bro,
All right, and we back. We had some technical difficulties. All right, you're saying that it's not a knock on James Harden, but what?
so it's not a knock on James Harden, but it's not like he hasn't already been there. And it's not a slight to him either because being a sixth man of the year is still one of the greatest achievements in the NBA because not every player gets that award. That shit comes just as often as a fucking MVP or Defensive Player of the Year. But having somebody like Harden come off that bench and gives you an explosion of scoring off the bench is probably the best lethal weapon that you can come up with. And then it gives him so much freedom because when he does come in the court, more than likely you got two superstars coming off the court. So it could be Westbrook and PG, or Westbrook and Kawhi. It could be PG and Kawhi. It could be a different series of players coming out at the same time, and he can go in as a replacement and bring in that second unit in and run with the second unit, and that's where he can get all the buckets he wants to get without compromising what they already have going in the starting lineup. And some people would say, I mean, you know, you can put Harden in there and he can mesh well with them and have Westbrook come off the bench. Westbrook is doing well in his role. He's a facilitator. He's playing pretty great perimeter defense now. And you don't want to mess up what they already have going, especially when that unit has already started doing things last year that they can do this year. And when they started the season before Harden got there, they were on. I think they were like they were what 3-2 before Harden got there. So it's not like they were doing that bad. I think they would have progressively gotten better with him being there. But you know, since Harden's been there, I mean, shit, all you got to do is take him off the bench. Somebody has to come off the bench, though. There's no way for a four-man lineup of that caliber to work together. There's not enough basketballs to go around, and that's just in all honesty.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. It's only one ball, and you got four people. You got four people that has one ball. You know, trying to. Hold on, I'm trying to get my thoughts together. Hold on. So you got four people that's trying to share one ball, and it's like they're all ball dominant people,
Right.
and it's like you can't. I don't know. I think they having that bad start because it's like four franchise players trying to play on the same team at the same time, and you know having Russell Westbrook, I think he's the most ball dominant player because I feel like James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, and Paul George can play off ball. I mean, they've been doing that all their careers. I mean, they can play on ball and they can play off ball too.
I think James Harden is just as ball dominant as Russ because they both have some very high like what is it usage ratings. They both have very high usage ratings. And I think both of them well over 71%. So they both touch that ball a lot. You know what I'm saying? Now PG and Kawhi, they can play off ball. They don't really need the ball to be active. PG can get his touches when he needs his touches. Kawhi, fun guy, does whatever he does.
Fun guy.
He'll get his shit moving whenever he needs to. But you know, Kawhi and PG are defensive players first. They're defensive minded, so they can get their offense off defense. They don't necessarily have to have the ball in their hands.
Yeah.
So
I think when James Harden played with Chris Paul, who was also a ball dominant player, I feel like he played off ball a lot too when on during that Rockets team.
they still clash though because there were certain points in the season where he couldn't get his shots up the way he normally would because Chris Paul had the ball in his hand a lot of time. You know, Chris Paul has to have the ball. He's a point guard. He wants to play point guard. He doesn't want to play off guard, and that's pretty much why that didn't work past a year. And I mean, ultimately, James Harden needs to be in a situation where he can touch the ball whenever he wants to, at any given time, in any given circumstance. And I think coming off the bench with the second unit will probably be his best chances. Now in the clutch, that's when I say start rotating pieces, because then you wanna if you're in a close game with, let's say, the Lakers, where they actually had a game like that where it came down to the last couple buckets. And you can't really rely on Russell Westbrook to give you those efficient buckets or get you a guaranteed bucket, but you can rely on James Harden to get you a step back three or get to the lane and get to the line or whatever you need to do. So I think that the pieces can be interchangeable. I think just a matter of putting the right pieces in the right places. I think Russell Westbrook, Kawhi, PG starting, maybe with Zubac and PJ Tucker, and coming off the bench, James Harden and whoever else they got coming off the bench. But I think that's probably going to be the best solution for him.
In my opinion, look, if it's the last few seconds on the clock and I want the ball in someone's hands,
Might be Kawhi.
I'm gonna give it to Kawhi because he has that experience. He won a championship with the Spurs. He won a championship with the Raptors. So he has that championship experience, and we've seen him make clutch shots over the years. We seen way off P. We seen Russell Westbrook. We seen James Harden choking the playoffs. But has Kawhi Leonard necessarily choked in the playoffs?
No, but I mean, truth be told, I don't think he wins that Raptors finals. Had there not be injuries all throughout the NBA. But another topic, another day.
Yeah. Speaking of another topic, I mean, we got to look at the defensive player of the year race, because the defensive player of the year is definitely one of the most important awards behind like the MVP and the rookie of the year race. So I mean, right now, the top 5 defensive player of the year candidates is Jaren Jackson Jr., Evan Mobley of the Cavs, Victor Wembanyama, a rookie, and Anthony Davis. So who you think would take it out of those 5 right now?
In all honesty, I don't think Wemby's going to be in there too much longer. I think he just has a lot of hype surrounding him right now, and I think a lot of that shit's going to kind of dwindle down later on in the season. But I do think Jerry Jackson Jr., JJJ, who is a reigning defensive player of the year. Right now, I have him number 2 on my list. Evan Mobley has been playing phenomenal. I actually been watching Cleveland game this year. But the games I could watch, and he is a defensive presence in the fucking paint. Anthony Davis, when healthy, he's Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis has always been a phenomenal defensive player of the year. But I don't like the fact that Giannis is being pushed down to 6 or 7. Giannis is still him. Giannis is very much still him. But I think the defensive player of the year award for Giannis is like the MVP award for LeBron. You know what I mean? It's like you want to give it to him every year, but it's like, do we really want to give it to you this year? You know what I mean? I think the players of Washington gonna be JJJ, Evan Mobley, and Giannis for sure. But Anthony Davis would probably be in the top 3. But I think he would be interchangeable with Evan Mobley or Jaren Jackson.
No, in my humble opinion, I think they need to redefine on what the defensive player of the year means, because right now it looks like they're giving it to all people who block shots, and I think that defense is more than just blocking shots. I think they need to. I think because with defensive stats, I think people really only count blocks and defensive rebounds based off stats. But it's like people don't realize that it's more to defense than just that. It's like stopping your man, making correct rotations, how many charges you take, how many. I don't know how would they do that.
They do contribute points allowed. So points allowed is a big factor. Tip passes, steals per game, blocks per game, and it's one more. I don't think defensive rebound has been put in there. I think that's been taken out, but I do think they added in the defensive efficiency, and pretty much all that is being able to stay in front of the ball at all times or as much as possible, which a lot of players can't do.
Now I think the point that I'm getting at is like we don't see any guards on this list. It's like maybe the times are changing. I guess guards really don't play defense like that anymore. You can count on your hand how many defensive guards that's in the league now. You can count a lot of motherfuckers right now who's blocking shots. So I think that's a problem. The league right now is a lot more offense heavy, especially within the guards. So it's like they'll give 100% on the offensive end, but on the defensive end, they want to be hidden with the zone. So
It's a
that's probably why I think I don't see any guards on this list right now.
yeah, it's a double edged sword. So like in some ways I agree with you, but at the same time I'm thinking what guards have really stood out defensively. And most times, like in history, we haven't had many defensive player of the year guards. A lot of times it came from forwards or big men. And I think what's kind of happening now is like the NBA is kind of cycling backwards to the big man game. Like it's turning back into a big man league. And doesn't necessarily mean the big men are like 7 footers or 6'11" players, but we're looking at guys like the likes of Brook Lopez. Like if you just look at this list, like and look at the big men that we're talking about is Jaren Jackson Jr., Evan Mobley, Vic Wembanyama. You got AD, you got Rudy Gobert, you got Giannis, got Bam Adebayo, Joel Embiid, Chet Holmgren, Brook Lopez. These are all defensive big men. These are rim protectors, defensive presences in the paint. And like you can't just say like, yeah, Marcus Smart is a better defender than him because I don't actually seen a couple of these big men step out on perimeter and guard some of these guards and they can't do shit. Like they're long. Their wingspan is like it's just like a fucking century long. And like as a point guard, like a John Morant, maybe I can get an explosive takeoff of him every now and again. But how many times do you think John Morant's gonna blow by Giannis Antetokounmpo without having Giannis come up with a chase down block off the backboard while Ja was trying to get him a dunk or get him a crazy layup? You know what I mean? Like these guys are very, very long players. So I think the game is just kind of reverting back to that big man defense back when the Ben Wallaces and the Tim Duncans and Rasheed Wallace and all these guys who were like legitimate like defensive players in the paint, they're coming back to like the fruition and it's turned into like a defensive dominant game again and it's becoming more physical. It's not as physical it was in early 2000s, but it's definitely going back to that physicality game now.
Yeah, because I mean, Marcus Smart won it last year, but that was like the first guard in a
Years,
long time. Yeah, a long
years.
time to win the Defensive Player of the Year award, I think I guess it's well deserved. I think I was just happy to see a guard winning it because in my humble opinion, I think the defensive player of the year should definitely go to the person who can guard 1 through 5. I mean, that's defense to me. If you can guard 1 through 5, and it's like any person you get switched on, you're not a liability on defense. Like if I'm having so let me take Anthony Edwards for example. If he's able to guard 1 through 5, he gets switched on in the post, and he can guard and like stop a big man. I think that's defensive player of the year worthy, or maybe okay, Giannis. He can go out and guard the point guard.
Mm-hmm.
He can go out and get switched on the shooting guard, and he can guard in the post as well. So defensive players like Giannis, or if guards can have that strength to fight down low, I think those should be the defensive player of the year. But if they counting defensive player of the year just by getting a lot of damn blocks, I mean shit. Yeah, Rudy
Yeah,
Gobert should have been in defensive player of the year a long time ago. You switch his ass out on Steph Curry, he's getting cooked.
yeah, he getting cooked. But see, like you got the likes of Jaren Jackson Jr., you got Evan Mobley, Anthony Davis, Giannis, and Bam Adebayo. Them five alone, they can guard 1 through 5.
Yeah,
So
but
them five alone. So Joel Embiid maybe like 3 to 5. Chet, I haven't really seen him have to be rotated off of a big man to a 1 or 2, but I think he's capable. His wingspan definitely makes him capable. Brook Lopez, I can't see it at all. Rudy
a little
Gobert, I
bit.
can't see it. Even with Victor Wembanyama, like he's at. I would like to believe he's athletic, but I think most of his athleticism comes from his wingspan and his length. So I can't necessarily say 100% that I think he could stick with the John Morant or even when Derrick Rose did have his explosive moments or when LeBron has his explosive moments. I can't see Victor Wembanyama being like that player to like jump in front of him and like really stop the ball. So I don't know. That's why I agree with you. Like Marcus Smart, somehow, some way, he was able to do that shit last year. I don't know how the fuck he did, but I don't see him guard some big man. Maybe not like Jokic or anything like that, but I've seen him get in the paint with DeAndre Jordan, DeAndre Ayton, and really cause some problems in the paint for him. So I
Yeah.
mean, that was a well-deserved reward. So you know what I mean. That's just what it is. But you don't get too many guards who are gonna be willing to, especially at 6'4", 6'5", go down to the paint and play and post play. So
Yeah, and um, uh, speaking of an award race, we gotta talk about the MVP race. It's kind of one of the last topics I wanted to get into because right now we have Nikola Jokic at number one, Joel Embiid at number two, Luca at three, Jason Tatum at four, and SGA Shea Gilgeous Alexander at five. And I
like,
believe that based on the trajectory that they're going, I think it's going to be either Luca or Jokic again because these boys about to average a triple double, and they leading their team. They're like the top two teams.
yeah, and I 100% agree with you. Like I think Joel Embiid, giving number two respect to him because he is having a phenomenal start to the season. What are they 7-1? I think he's been a big contributor to that record. But like I said, history just repeats itself for me with Embiid. I just never see Embiid take that next step in the postseason and really showcase why he's the MVP. So I think part of it is me kind of, I guess you can say it's a hater, but in other words, you can kind of say I'm kind of well versed in my answer because if it was up to me, I wouldn't give the MVP award out until the season is over and we're well into like Western Conference, Eastern Conference Finals, and that would pretty much make the decision on who should actually be the MVP. And I think that's what a story would tell all because then you start looking at a Luka, even if he doesn't make it deep into the playoffs, like maybe he gets rounded out in the second round or even the Western Conference Finals. Uh, but just kind of going back into the topic, I think Jokic, uh, biased and unbiased, I'm going to say he's easily the front runner, and he's going to be the front runner for a very long time because of what he does on the court. I think Luca is going to be the number two. I honestly think if I was to really balance this list out, I think Embiid would be number four to me, and Luca and Tatum would move up one. So Luca would be two, Tatum would be three, Embiid would be four, and Shea would be five. And the only reason I say Shea is five is because we haven't really gotten enough out of him to really give him that mold yet. And I think if we give him enough time, I think he's gonna be a fucking problem.
Yeah,
And when I say enough time, I mean you give him about a good 20, 30 games into the season, I think he might rise up to like maybe three or two.
I mean the streets are saying he got the deepest bag in the NBA.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
know
not
about that
uh,
since Kyrie's still in the NBA, but I definitely
he,
say he number two.
it ain't about them crossover though. Because like his bag is different. Like him and he has a mix of like Kyrie and Halliburton. Like his bag goes deeper than just like a ball handle and a jump shot. Like this motherfucker can really give you a crazy ass assist that you wouldn't even think was there. And just me watching him, and now that he has Chet, it's really giving him more freedom to like really be the player he needs to be. So Chet gives him that extra boost. Like he got Dort, he got Giddy, he got all these other pieces around him, and even with Chet, it's like, damn, you just gave him the missing piece he needed. Now he got a rebounder, so he ain't got to go down there and try to get triple doubles every game. He ain't got to rely on Giddy and Dort to go get rebounds every game. He ain't got to rely on Williams. He can just free flow as a point guard and really do his job. He's a very good two-way player. Um, his playmaking abilities are not necessarily unmatched, but very elite. I really see him being an all star this year. And ultimately, I think he gives OKC a good run, at least to the second round.
Mm,
At least. At least.
yeah, I think it just it's just that whole I guess experience factor to make it deep
Yep.
in the playoffs. I don't think they team, yeah, they don't really have no veterans on their team, but
Oh,
maybe they'll be just like how the Grizzlies were last year, where they make it in the
I
playoffs, but
hope
the
I hope they're not.
experience just
I hope they're not. I hope they're better than the Grizzlies because the one thing I had against the Grizzlies last year was they were too cocky and arrogant.
yeah,
And that shit caught up to them really quick because they met that match. And the one thing you don't do in the playoffs is be arrogant to any team because you got to give the ultimate respect to anybody who made it to the playoffs. But the team that made it to the second or third round, you got to give them that much more respect. and they weren't giving their opponents enough respect. So I think these younger guys are more business savvy when it comes to basketball, and they're more professional with how they carry themselves as basketball players, which is important, especially going into a deep playoff run.
That nigga Josh said, "We good in the West." It was not good.
That boy said that shit, boy. It was ugly.
And then, so, you on this list right now, the key MVP ladder, we got Nikola Jokic number one. He's doing phenomenal things that, you know, centers in the past not really, matching up to what he's doing right now. But I'm just curious though, are people going to have MVP fatigue if they're just going to keep giving it to Jokic? Because I think the MVP is a person, it's the most valuable player. So
Yep.
I'm looking at the triple double. If you scoring, getting the rebounds, you playing on both ends, and you getting your teammates involved. I mean that's amazing basketball. I'll
Yeah.
tip my hat off to Russell Westbrook for getting that MVP, and I think it was 2017 when he got the triple double,
27.
and I believe they gave it to him because he had the triple double. Now traditionally they give MVP to the people like I guess the top three teams, but
Yeah, to play on the top three teams.
so Nikola Jokic is having a triple double and he's contributing to winning basketball. So I think what they're gonna do what they did to LeBron and just snub him from MVPs in the coming years because they gave it to him so much. So
So I hope in so many ways I kind of hope that it doesn't happen like that, but in other ways I kind of do. It's like again double-edged sword. So a player like Jokic who doesn't actively try to stat pad, right? He actually plays the game the right way. He plays at his own speed. And the one thing we as basketball fans in general have to start taking into account is what valuable means, because valuable it has its own definition universally, right? So for some of us, we think value is the person that can get us a bucket or get the go-ahead clutch bucket to win a game for us, or the person that gave us the most effort in our wins, the person that contributed most to the stats. But universally, I think I think me and you can agree on this is the most valuable player is the person that if you take this person off of this team does not look the same.
exactly.
And yeah, so if we look at a lot of these LeBron James teams in the past, within recency, if you take LeBron James off some of these teams, they don't even have the record that they have. And we seen the truth of it when he left Cleveland the first time around to go to Miami. They went from a championship contending team to a 20 plus win team at max. And then went to the Miami Heat team who hadn't even made the playoffs in like 3 or 4 years. Go from a 30-win team to now winning 60 games. He leaves Miami again. They go back down, and Cleveland goes back up to a championship contender. And if you look at that kind of balance and imbalance, you got to think: if I take Joel Embiid off this team and put another center here, how well do they do? If I take Jokic off of this team, how well do they do? And if I take Luka off of the Mavericks, are they doing the same things? And for all three of them, you got to say no. If you take Jason Tatum off of the Boston Celtics, they may not be a championship contending team, but they're still a playoff contending team.
Yeah, they still gonna win. Shit.
You know what I mean? So, and the same thing goes for Shea. Like you take Shea off that team, I don't think OKC looks the same. I think the backbone of these teams rely on some of these players. And as far as this MVP goes, like if we go into a new standard where they kind of have like the LeBron James effect, where they keep winning MVP after MVP because of their stats and what they contribute to the game, who else do you really give it to? You know what I mean? Like you don't want to go back and forth giving it to the same three people, but at the same time, you don't want to basically throw dirt on somebody and say like, "Hey, bro, we know you went 72-10 this year, and you averaged a triple double, and you contributed most of your team. You the only superstar on your team. You the only all star on your team. But we're gonna give it to Giannis because Giannis won like 15 games less than you, and he managed to make it to the playoffs, even though they're not as good as you, and even though he got Dame Lillard on his team. Like all those things are factors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I hope it doesn't, but at the same time, I don't want to see. And I fucking love Jokic, bro. That's my dude.
Yeah. That
That's my
man's
fucking dude.
man
But
is
if I see him
crazy.
winning 7 MVPs, bro, because that's what it's starting to look like. Because ain't nobody fucking with him. If he wins 7 MVPs, bro, like it's gonna be hard to really justify why he got those things, bro.
Yeah, I only see like the only thing that's slowing him down would be age. That's the only thing I can see slowing him down because centers and you want to get into genetics and all. They all big. I mean, they can't last that long playing at a super high level. Eventually, Father Time gonna catch up. Then again, you look at a player like LeBron and Father Time ain't really doing. I mean, it's doing his thing, but it's not doing it as fast as it did the other players. So that's the only thing I can see. That's stopping Jokic. The only.
I don't even know if like the time span is going to affect him because he doesn't play fast. He doesn't play athletic. He plays a very lazy is so disrespectful to say, but that's the only comparison. Like he plays such a relaxed game. And it's like he doesn't give too much effort, but it's impactful. Whatever he's doing out there is impactful. But while he's out there on the court, he's thinking about riding his horse later on. He don't give a fuck about the game.
People be comparing when the Lakers played the Nuggets in the bubble and how Dwight Howard clamped him up. And they keep saying, oh, yeah, all you gotta do is just put a physical center on him. And I'm thinking, like, damn, bro, that was like almost 4 years ago. You don't think Jokic done adapted and learned and fucking improved his game over there? Because he played against Embiid. He played against Giannis, physical players, Adebayo. Yeah, he fucking cooked AD in the playoffs last year, man.
The fucked up part about it all, bro, is like they think because somebody scored 50 or 40 something on this play on Jokic that Jokic took that shit. Jokic takes a lot of shit to the chin. Bro can have 16 points, 11 rebounds, and 16 assists, and they win the game. But y'all looked at AD because he got 45 points and 12 rebounds, and y'all thought it mattered. They still got blew up by 27 points.
Yep.
That's just an example, but you know what I'm saying? Like, the impact for basketball does not heavily weigh itself on points scored. And that's what people fail to realize. And with Dwight Howard in the bubble moment, like, Dwight Howard was physical, but he wasn't the reason why Jokic didn't successfully win. They were learning. And they had Jamal Murray. They had Jamal Murray, but at the time, they couldn't figure it out yet. It took them a while to figure it out. Just like LeBron's first time going with Dwayne Wade, they didn't have it figured out the first year. Everybody thought they were guaranteed win in the finals against the Mavericks, but they just couldn't figure it out. And it just took shit like that to happen for him to like be like, I bet. So I know what the physicality is like in the playoffs. So now I know what to be worried about. Because I think had he understood the physicality beforehand, or had that little taste of that deep playoff run NBA experience going into the finals, I think that whole situation is different. I think that would be their first title, and this title that was recent for them would be the second.
Hey man, yeah. I definitely agree with you say. You done said a mouthful. Pause. I'm sorry.
That's crazy.
but look, on that note, we're running out of time here. We passed the hour mark a long time ago. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to the first episode of the BTL Hoopscast. I got to get used to saying that. The Between the Lines Hoopscast. Again, please like, comment, subscribe, share, fucking repost, retweet.
Sure.
Do everything. We trying to get this thing off the ground, man. I feel like we know a lot about basketball. Hell, we probably don't know a lot about basketball, even though we feel like we do. But I feel like we make a lot of good points, but better than what NBA Twitter be making. They be making some stupid ass, bullshit ass points. So we just trying to get this content out there, man. SB, you got anything you want to say before we head out?
Make sure y'all follow all of our social media: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. We'll have Facebook up soon, but TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Follow us. It's going to be BTL Hoopscast on all platforms universally. We'll make sure we have the links on the description below for you guys to just click on if y'all want to go there straight from the video, man. But with that being said, and follow us personally too. My Instagram is World of Justice. Replace the I with a 1 on all platforms.
Yeah, mine all platforms is just Power Pack with 2 R's. And on that note, peace, everybody.
Peace.